when I came to Edmonton, blocks away, 8 blocks away, if you happened to see somebody on Jasper, you waved and you ran towards them because it was the only black you would see. And since you came, months you hadn't seen anybody who was black. So we used to greet each other that way and visit. I also, when I came, my husband brought or helped to bring 5 other men with him. I was the only female among all these men. So I spent a lot of time teaching them how to get anywhere by bus. I would just sit on a bus, and at that time it was a quarter to travel. And the bus took you everywhere. You could go to wherever you wanted, and then you'd get a transfer, but the transfer was to come back. So you went as far as you could. I would get on different buses on Sundays after service and go wherever. So I knew the city pretty well and how it was arranged.
At the university, from afar, you nodded at that person because of that distance. These were people you didn't know, but it was just an acknowledgement that, oh, I see you there, even on White Avenue. You driving, you see a black person on White Avenue, which was really odd. You honk. And I'm thinking, why am I honking?
I was there as a student, and so I was treated as a student. But when I went outside, that's where I would see that there was a little bit of, people being suspicious. You are walking in a mall and people are clutching their purses as if you are coming to steal it or something. And you're thinking, they don't even know me. They don't know what I have. And yet I'm being treated as if I'm following them. But it wasn't as bad. But it could also be my attitude, because I always think when someone is having issues like that, it's about them, not about me.
I'm Malcolm Azania. I'm known to a lot of folks by the name Minister Faust, a name under which I broadcast for many years, and also under which I write novels and journalism and a bunch of other things. I was born about 1.5 kilometers from here, which is the Royal Alexandra Hospital in Edmonton. My mother's family arrived in Edmonton in the year 1939 and had come from the United States in the year 1910. And my father, and I'm not sure the exact year my father landed in Edmonton, but sometime in the 1960s, possibly as late as 1968 or 69.
I would say my heritage is African Caribbean. Tobagonians are very proud African people, good landowners. They know where their head is. They know what belongs to them, and they keep it that way. And so I admire Tobagonians for that. The other side, which is Trinidadian, is very diverse, very fun-loving, kind of out there, lover of literature and calypso and music. 1967, around in August. I'd come in July. I came on July 7th, Centennial Year for Canada, and landed in Montreal, went to Expo 67, tried to live in Montreal, but it wasn't a place that my husband, who was a telecommunications technician at that time, wasn't a place where he would find a job. And he had one waiting in Winnipeg for him, but lost it because he waited for me to get out of school to come to Canada. So we went to Vancouver, and that was the hippie era, lots of transients, not too much employment either. And so we came back east and came to Edmonton during Klondike days. As it turned out, beautiful weather, 84 degrees because we were Fahrenheit that time. And next day it dropped to 30. So it was the worst day in my life in Canada. Even 40 below, 45 degrees below zero. Never felt as cold as that second day that I was in Alberta.
We moved to Edmonton in 1992. I originally went from Malawi to Halifax to go to school, and then I moved from Halifax to Edmonton to continue with my education. In Halifax, I was really surprised to find that there was quite a big community of Black people, and so automatically you get drawn to each other. It was interesting, amazing, but at the same time shocking because of the kind of things that I heard about what they had gone through. It was good for me to be connected to them and to find a place in their community where I felt like I kind of belonged.
I'm from Kenya, and my ethnic heritage there would be called Kikuyu. We have 42 communities. I happen to come from one of the largest community in the country. I moved in Edmonton back in 97, September 16th. I came here to study at U of A. It's a very interesting time coming to Edmonton, Alberta, and the only reason why I want to highlight that is because it was quite obvious that coming into the city or the even academic institution, we had very few Black faces. In all the classes I attended, I was the only Black person, and therefore the late 90s, early 2000s, that was the kind of experience, and it may have something to do with me joining CASH.
I was born in Jamaica, and I grew up in England, and then moved here about 1990, I think. So I've lived in a number of different places.
In the 70s, we saw more and more people coming to Alberta. Many of them from out east as opposed to from the Caribbean directly. So we would go dance and sing our cultural songs and whatnot. I also created a netball group, but I am so not athletic. But I knew how to organize, so I would get Black people together. We used to have Black picnics in Borden Park, and we started to be able to work together. And there was a group called the Council of Black Organizations, and I was a part of that. It's somewhere, I think around in the 80s, we changed the name. After a lot of discussion and a lot of controversy, we found that just saying that we were a Black group didn't go well with funders. They felt like, what is a Black group, right? Despite all that we had done in the community. So we changed it to the Council of Canadians of African and Caribbean Heritage.
What you call yourself, how you define yourself matters, because it tells us who you are, right? When Shakespeare says, "A rose by any other name will still smell sweet," I'm not sure I want to believe him, right? So the name is really important. We can't just say, we're going to go with something like this. So when I think of Canadians of African and Caribbean origin, having that organization coming in and there and saying, this is our shared history. Do we have shared histories? Yes, right? I mean, the common denominator in most of the cases is the colonization. Do we have shared experiences? Yes. Do we have differences? Which is really important. Yes, and differences are not necessarily negative.
CASH was an umbrella organization that was intended to bring together representatives of organizations from a wide range across the continent and the Caribbean, and to try to address a range of needs. And one of those is youth education. And so to this day, one of the core goals of CASH is through their Saturday school, which helps to provide tutoring, mentorship to our children and youth.
CASH is the group that I've always worked with ever since, I had that first meeting where Gordon Sadul gave me, I think, a leaflet about this youth forum. When we set up the Living History Group, we attached ourselves to CASH. So Lawrence was on our board and he was also a treasurer at the same time for CASH. So it was easy. I always think you should look to see if you can support an organisation rather than consistently setting up new organisations that then don't thrive. So we affiliated ourselves with CASH and we had quite a lot of freedom. I was here for when they changed the name from CBO, and it was changed to Council of Canadians of African and Caribbean Heritage, CASH. And I always used to joke and say, but we have no cash.
I find this educational system for children of color is to railroad them into sports. I see it all the time, and their futures are derailed in a way, because it tells me that the society still has a long way to go in recognizing equal values in people of color. Take off that label that all we are good for is sports. We're the scientists. We can point to Anthony Fields and a lot of other people who are achieving in our society.
All right, this man has a historic site, Uncle Tom's Cabin, in Dresden, Ontario.
Who is Reverend Josiah Henson?
That is correct.
I know we've had programs in CASH which were focusing on adults, but I think of late it has been for students. And so one of them is to make sure that our youth know about their background, because you cannot appreciate anything else without understanding who you are yourself. That's what CASH does in a way, educating them about contribution of blacks in either development or in whatever it is that we do in the community. I think it's important for them. And it helps other people to understand about black people. So it's not just for our youth, but it's also for the community to appreciate and understand the contribution of blacks.
I've been with CASH for quite a long time. I believe it's 12 years. If I'm not mistaken, I joined in 2010 as a board secretary, and I stayed in that position for 10 years.
What are my hopes for the youth of our various communities, and how do we get there? I absolutely want our young people to be the things that they want to be. And I say that because there are cultural milieus where elders have a very narrow range of what they think young people should be. And it's not healthy for individuals, and it's not healthy for a community. What I want for our young people is to have the freedom that we all want to be ourselves so that we can enjoy life, And I also critically want us to love the joy, the fascination of contributing to our grand project of continuing the glorious tradition of African civilizations.
I know in the old colonial system, the parents dream for the children. My mother always wanted me to be a nurse or this or that, or, the parents always, because they didn't have, their dreams were stifled. So they dreamt through their children. We have an opportunity to let our children dream for themselves. We give them the nurturing, right? Give them the platform, support them however we can, and leave it up to them to realize their own dreams. You dream as big as you want, wherever you want it to take you. So you feel proud when you see that your children can take the mantle and run with it, that this is what I want to carve for myself, and they can achieve whatever goals they set out.
My hope, that they will take over the community, they will take over Edmonton, And so we'll be seeing more of the mayors as black mayor who will have some, you know, doctors and all kinds of, in all fields. That's my hope, that they will do that.